It's time to get chiseled with Rob Commodari.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chiseled. And why do we call it Chiseled? Because we're all a work in progress. I'm your host. I'm Rob Commodari. I'm also the author of the book Better Than You Think and a co-author of 3 other books as well. Matthew Tyner Sr. is our guest today. He's the author of Fast and Hard, From Addictions to Redemption. It's a raw and inspiring account of a man who rebuilt his life and proves that people can, in fact, change. Once a standout walk-on at the University of Miami's powerhouse baseball program, appearing in 3 consecutive College World Series and later drafted in 9th round by the Baltimore Orioles, Matt seemed destined for greatness. But addiction sabotaged his personal and professional world, leading into rock bottom. His story turns when he hits the true rock, the one that becomes the foundation of his spiritual awakening and recovery through Alcoholics Anonymous, the support of his family, and a renewed commitment to living with integrity. Clean and sober for over 2 decades now, Matt dedicates his life to serving others. Today, he is the NCAA Division I head baseball coach at Towson University, a professional motivational speaker through Tyner Effect, and an entrepreneur through MLT Sports Investments and collegiate academic golf showcases. Matt studied at the University of Miami, earned his bachelor's degree in business communications from Concordia University, and proudly holds what he calls a PhD in common sense. And I love that, Matt. Thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Rob. I don't know if I can live up to that intro, but I'll do my best.
I think you'll do okay here. So, yeah, Matt, I guess to start things out, you played, you're a walk-on at the University of Miami, and you played obviously high-level baseball, and you got drafted by the Orioles. Take us back, I guess, to that point where you're like, okay, you're a walk-on. You're a walk-on at a big-time baseball program. One, it takes confidence, courage, and commitment to be able to, and guts, a set of guts to be able to say, I got the ability to do that. So can you take us back there and tell us how that went?
Yeah, sure can. I'm originally from Decatur, Illinois, which is in the heartland of the United States. We're the soybean capital of the world, so that's what we're known for. And I was just your normal kid growing up in Smalltown U.S.A. About 100,000 people, but we had gifted athletes that were from that small town, and it was a lot of fun. A great place to grow up. We didn't have the internet, we didn't have cell phones, we weren't able to, Google anything. So you learned about college athletics strictly by what you saw. Played some football, obviously, and got a chance to go see the University of Illinois play. And knew that college just enamored me, the whole 9 yards. And then I happened to be watching ABC Wide World of Sports. I believe that was the name of the show. And I saw the University of Miami playing a College World Series on TV. And I think that was 1974. And I said, I'm going there. And people from Decatur, Illinois were like going, hey, dude, you can't even play at Eastern Illinois. How in the world would you even think about going to University of Miami? But it just had the glamour and the glitz, and I just felt like, man, if I could go there, then I could accomplish my dream. And since I was 4 years in 4th grade, I decided I either wanted to be a professional baseball player or the president of the United States, and I didn't think I was going to make that second one happen. So I still had the dream of playing professional baseball. And a couple of years later, I'd done some research and some coaches that helped me. And we were, I was lucky enough to find out that Arizona State also had a pretty good program back then. And my best friend, Michael Melnick, and I mean, we were brothers from different mothers, but we would take bullets for each other. We flipped a coin. Obviously there had been a couple of beers involved, but heads was Miami and tails was Arizona State, and it came up Miami. So we enrolled, we both got accepted. We found our dorm room at the University of Miami, and we started school in September, awaiting a tryout to be hosted by none other than Skip Bertman, the legend coach from LSU. He was the assistant coach to Ron Frazier, and he had this idea of a developmental squad for the University of Miami's varsity program. So it happened in mid-October.
Wow. And so it takes, like I say, it takes guts to sit there and say, okay, we're just going to go and we're going to try out for this big time program. And was without an invite as well, right? You weren't invited there. You just went.
No, we weren't. We were not invited. I had written a couple of letters, and I still hold one of the letters that Coach Bertman wrote me back with and said, "Listen, if you get drafted, let us know." And
wow.
yeah, and if not, we wish you well. But that's the type of player that we want at the University of Miami. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get drafted, but I'm going to give it everything I got. So I did have the benefit of playing American Legion baseball back then. And I got to play for a gentleman by the name of Lee Hanley, who was the backup to Ron Santo. Remember that name?
I do remember Ron Santo.
Yeah. So when Lee retired from minor league baseball, he became a coach in Decatur. And that summer, I played for him. And, it was kind of funny. I'll give you a quickie. I always thought myself as an outfielder, right? I'll get to that story in a minute. But we had our first workout for American Legion, and it's all population of schools driven correctly. So, there were 4 outfielders there, me and 3 other ones. And he said, pick one. He goes, those 3 will play the outfield. You're playing first base. And I said, well, I'm better than any of those guys. He goes, you may be. He goes, but you're not as fast. I said, oh, I can outrun one of those guys. He goes, well, pick anyone you want to. So I picked this kid named Jeff Hannipel to outrun him. He blew me away by about 5 or 6 yards in a 60. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he goes, you picked the wrong guy. I go, Hannipel, you're not that fast. And he goes, I won the state 100-meter or 100-yard and 220 in the small schools in the state of Indiana or Illinois. And I was like, oh, you're right. I picked the wrong guy. So,
that's funny.
That's funny. Hilarious, man. It was hilarious.
So you get to Miami, and you were telling me your story offline, and I'd love to hear it here live, that there's 200 some people at a tryout, and did these 200 some people include those that are on scholarship too?
Oh no. If you were on the University of Miami varsity baseball program, you were there maybe to help, but that was it. There were 244 people located in the bleachers down the left field line back then. And Coach Bertman stood up, gave us his speech, and said, I'm just going to be honest. If you can't run, you can't play here. And if you can run, but you can't throw, you can't play here. And if you can run and you can throw, but you can't hit, you can't play here. He goes, and all pitchers, we'll check you out in a second. But first, we got to get through the plethora of people we have here. So, outfielders were first. I decided I was going to play first base because of my athleticism. I figure I would hide a talent or two. And he said, if you can't run a 7 flat, you're cut. And then he did the same thing to infielders. I ran a 6'8", and he cut 120 people.
Jeez.
That
just quick.
Just like that.
Quick.
I mean, and they're like, I haven't even thrown a baseball. And he goes, and you're not going to. You cannot run. You cannot play for us. We are the Miami Greyhounds. What he said. And I got lucky. I made it through all of the cuts, and we were playing this inter squad game. So I made it through that. They kept 6 players, 5 pitchers, and we all got a chance to kind of subsidize the developmental squad for the University of Miami. And we would play all of the junior colleges down there in South Florida. You being from South Florida or playing ball down there, you know what I'm talking about. Dade North, Dade Downtown, Dade South. And then we would play each other. And that schedule just, regurgitated itself again and again and again. So it was fun. And if you got lucky enough to play in some of the varsity games, so be it, right? And I did. So I thought it was a great experience for me. But the very first day that you were told that you were playing, that you had made the team for the fall, you still had to earn your stripes for the spring. We did an infield outfield. And I know you know that drill, but Miami had balls flying everywhere. So I'm at first base, and catcher comes up, fields a bunt, he throws it. I miss it, hits me in my solar plexus, about knocks me out, right? So I throw it around. The first baseman that I'm standing down there with are laughing, and they're like, don't worry, you'll get a chance. We know you got a good arm. We've seen it. Just, tee it up and let it fly. And I was like, deal. I couldn't wait for that ball to come back around for me. So comes to me, same catcher's behind home plate. I took an extra crow hop, let it fly, And as soon as I let go of it, I go, oh my God, I'm going to kill the wizard of college baseball with a throw. I mean, it was a heat-seeking missile right for Coach Frazier's head. And he's right in the backswing of a fungo. And somehow, some way, he gets that fungo up there and it ricochets off that fungo. And you could have heard a pin drop because it didn't hit him. And we're just sitting there in amazement, like, oh my gosh. And that's when he yells out to Bertman in center field, Skip, he's trying to kill me. Bertman said, Tyner, change your glove. Get in the outfield. I don't know what you were thinking trying to be a first baseman. Get out of here. And that started my career in the outfield. So I couldn't play for my Legion team. But 4 months later, I'd be starting in left field for the University of Miami.
Well, and you play as a freshman. You said you played about 20 or 30 games as a freshman for Miami. That's incredible. That's incredible. So then you were there all 3 years, or no? You told me you left and had to come back. Tell me that story.
Yeah, my father. I come from a blue collar family, and you know, my mother and father not only got divorced, but my father had a heart attack the summer going into my junior year. So that fall semester, I stayed home. I worked. I supported the family with my dad's disability and got him back to the best shape that he could be in. And then I went back and had an opportunity to, although I was behind, Coaches Frazier and Bertman both really rallied for me, kept my scholarship available, worked with me on financial aid. I mean, just took care of me. You know,
that's special. That's really special.
Absolutely special.
So did you know, like, you had that dream to play pro ball, and then you have the 2 years and you leave? Did you think your dream was shot at that point?
I did. And if you can picture this, so we live in a very modest 3-bedroom house. It was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath on the main, and then 1 room upstairs. And that was it, you know, and then we had a basement downstairs, but it wasn't very big. So one of my other friends that went to high school with me, he had a younger brother. We put mattresses up. I found old mattresses and I completely lined the basement wall. I found an old baseball hitting tee, and Jimmy Mitten and myself actually kept swinging. I didn't want to lose my calluses. And you know, in between my jobs, I would run every day. And if the weather was good, he and I would go throw. So that's how I stayed in shape. Now, lucky for him, that kid hit like 650. 650.
Oh my God.
That senior year in high school, and just, I mean, had a scholarship to Georgia.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
It was nuts. And I'm like, these guys at Miami, they might know what they're talking about. You know?
Wow. Holy cow. So you went back. You've been a part of 3 College World Series. Did you win any of them?
No, unfortunately.
Oh gosh, yeah.
No,
but you were part of it. It's still huge, though. It's still huge.
It was. That experience is just, you know, etched in my mind. And as a coach now, I want that for my players.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the game of any college sport has changed immensely. It is so much different now than when it was when you and I played. And it's, you know, and all for the good. I mean, there's some bad, obviously, but look at what we do now. We play College World Series at an unbelievable ballpark, and more fans watch and more fans go than ever before. And we generate income for a quote minor Olympic sport. And, you know, it's so good from that aspect of it that I would love to get my kids at least in a regional so that they can have that experience, you know?
Well, how does NIL affect you? How does NIL affect you?
Well, it's going to start to affect us more as more NIL becomes available to more schools above us. When it was just a few people, you know, a few schools, that was one thing. But now when Penn State has money, Rutgers has money, and the bottom tier of the ACC, and when all of those schools have money, you know, when FAU has money, I mean, they've got money now. So, you know, a UNCW has money, Charleston has money, Campbell has money. We do not. So yes, we're going to get poached. for sure.
Yeah.
And
Well, so you said you don't have money, but like, is the idea to get support around the Tallahassee community and in our area to get people to donate?
oh, there's a collective, sure, but it's got to funnel all the way down through the system to get to us.
Jeez.
Somebody could donate sports specifically, but that would be a tall
Yeah.
ask, I think.
Yeah.
We're
I
not
don't
even
get
fully funded with scholarships yet. So
Wow,
let's do
that's
that
hard.
first.
Yeah, it makes it hard. So yeah, sorry I got off track there. But so you get drafted when your senior year. Did you know, like when you came back, you'd missed a year, you come back, and did you know, or did you have a really good idea? You probably know you had the confidence that you had the opportunity to get drafted. Do you think that was going to happen?
To be quite honest with you, I was really not starting to doubt myself, but starting to doubt the situation. I wasn't playing. I was behind, and unfortunately, the leading hitter on our team, a good personal friend of mine, Mike Cutner, had a migraine headache that one night. We were at Georgia Southern, and God love him. I mean, he couldn't raise his head. That's how bad he had. So I'm down the right field line. Bertman walks down. He goes, Tyner, you're starting tonight. It's your big night. In fact, it might be your only night. He said so.
And this is as a senior now.
No, I'm a junior. I'm a junior.
Okay.
I'm a junior. And he says, you got to do well. And, I'm putting my name out here. I'm backing you. So let's do this. Frazier wants to see you. So I go down to Frazier in the dugout, and Frazier's trying to calm me down. My heart's beating. I'm probably at about 185, pulse rate. And he says, you ever hear of Wally Pipp? And I'm like, no, man, I've never heard of Wally Pipp. And he goes, famous New York Yankee first baseman. He goes, yeah, he came in one morning and said he was either sick. Story, don't know if it was sick or hungover, but anyway, he didn't play. And they put this guy in there. Maybe you've heard of him. They nicknamed him the Iron Man. And I go, Lou Gehrig? He goes, yeah, he played. He played for over 2,000 games. He goes, so people forgot Wally Pipp. He goes, this is your Wally Pipp night. He goes, you got to get there. You got to play left field. You got to provide some pop. You got to do what we're asking you to do. You got to you got to help us. You got to do it. I mean, and that really was out of character for him. He didn't really build too many people up, but that night, for some reason, he calmed me down and got me into a good mindset. And I went out there and had one of the best games of my career at that time. Went 4 for 4, threw a couple guys out, hit a home run, 2 doubles, drove in some runs, and I never came out of the lineup again.
That's wild. That's wild. And then, so that was your junior year. Then did you play a senior year and then get drafted?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that year I hit like 8 home runs, and then I went to I had a chance to go play for Demi Maneri in the Cape, or go to Chicago and play on this unbelievable travel team where I was guaranteed $7.50 an hour for 40 hours a week, $300 a week. What do you think I took?
I know what you took.
I took the Chicago opportunity.
Yeah.
And I hit like 22 home runs, and I came back next year and I tied the home run record for Miami, and it just, all of my ducks started to just fall into a row, and it was really, it was something else. And I did have conversations with the Dodgers and the Tigers, and I felt like those were teams that had shown interest in me, and of course I would have gone with any of those. So when I got the call that I was drafted by Baltimore, I was like, where'd this come from? I mean, I was happy, but I certainly didn't know that they even liked me.
So you get drafted. Now you go, you're playing ball. I mean, you started rookie ball down there. Is that what happened?
No, I bypassed rookie ball. I went right back to the Florida State League. And I went right back to Miami. And that's Florida State entry was. And oh my gosh, I got lucky. Florida International University.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Joe Hughes was the starting third baseman for FIU. And he also got drafted by the Orioles. So I got there and he said, hey, have you found a place to live yet? And I go, well, no, I just got here. And he goes, you're living with me. And I was like, yes. So I still speak with him every now and then. What a fine young man he was, and it was great. It was great. So
that's awesome. So you got this book. It's called Fast and Hard: From Addictions to Redemption. So if you want to go back and tell a little bit of this, it's up to you, or whatever you want to go, wherever you want to go. Obviously, you had your when did the demise start, if you will, if that's a good word to use.
I was a full-blown alcoholic by age 15.
Oh, so while you're in playing Miami, you're already drinking.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know we drank in college, so did I. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I had a broken home that I came from, and I was introduced to alcohol and marijuana my freshman summer, my sophomore year, and I decided that I could live numb a lot better than I could live sober. The erosion of my family. I had a younger brother, younger sister that were put through this gauntlet of just unbelievable addictive parents, and they divorced, and my mom might have become the very first cougar ever known to society. She married a 21-year-old for a brief period of time, and she herself was an alcoholic, and one thing led to another, Rob. I'm not proud of it, but I got sick, and it just carried on in and through Miami. And by the time I hit Miami, I was in rare form. Obviously, if you think of Miami and you think of the 1970s, you have to put something in there, right? I mean, they didn't make Miami Vice for being nice, did they?
Yeah. So, I mean, I experienced in the late 80s. I know it.
Yeah. So, and I mean, and when people ask me about cocaine, I go, why did you do it? And I'm like, 'cause I liked it. It was bad timing, obviously, but it was the perfect time for me to have been down there to experience that. And that drug would grab me and never let go. Thank God I never elevated to anything higher than that. If there is anything that could be higher than that, but no heroin, no crack, nothing like that. I was strictly a cocaine addict and an alcoholic. And I would carry that with me for 28 years. And then in 2001, I decided that I'd had enough. I sought some help. I did sobriety on my own for about 17 months. It wasn't good, but being an athlete, especially a professional athlete, you can imagine what we've put our bodies through. And if I decide I'm going to go do something, I think I still have the capacity to go do it. And I did, but my physical body was changing. My mental body was not changing. I had lived in that debauchery for so long that I didn't know how to live in a normal man's world. I didn't know how to live in a spiritual world. I didn't know any of those components. I didn't have anything in my toolbox that would allow me to operate life on life's terms. So I finally, and I mean, God puts people in your path for unbelievable specific reasons or general reasons, but there are angels strewn all throughout my path of a little here and a little there and a little here and a little there. And that's what happened. And I'm very happy that I did find Alcoholics Anonymous. That particular program gave me some tools, and it made me see that I'm not the only one, nor is my problem the biggest problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The connection, I think, is to addiction, right? And you need to. I don't think I could go through recovery without my brothers and sisters in the recovery program that I'm part of. It wouldn't be the same for me. And I, whenever I speak, I tell that to hopefuls that want to be like me. I mean, I'm pretty happy. I do have some experience, and I do have some strength, and I do have some hope, and all of that has come through the program that I'm part of, and I'm very happy for that. I'm not saying it's fail safe. I'm just saying it works for me.
Yeah. So it's thank you for sharing that and your vulnerability there. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the redemption. Is that good enough for you? Let's do that. Okay.
Chiseled is presented by the Commodari Group of eXp Realty, led by your host, Rob Commodari. Are you planning to buy or sell? We know the process can feel stressful and frustrating. That's why Rob and his team focus on providing a personal touch and the best service and guidance during your transaction. The Commodari Group are top-tier professionals who deliver spectacular customer service. They provide expert advice on accurately pricing your home and making the entire process smooth and seamless. They simply get it done. Here's the connection to Chiseled. Many of the amazing guests you hear on this podcast are part of Rob's extended referral network. While the Commodari Group serves the Baltimore area, Rob can connect you with superb representatives across North America. Clients rely on this network because Rob actually cares about you and your family, treating your experience as if it was his own. Don't settle for less than the best. If you need a trustworthy and knowledgeable agent locally or across North America, Rob is the guy to call. Contact Rob today at 410-262-7396 or send him an email, rob@talktorob.com.
Welcome back. Thank you again, Matt, for being here. So you talked about the alcoholism for, I think, would you say 28 years or 25 years, something to that effect.
Okay. Yeah.
And you said you did it on your own, recovery for such a period of time. But did somebody steer you to AA, or did you go to the AA on your own?
Well, I'll tell you the story the only way I know how to tell it. I was married to a wonderful, wonderful lady. And obviously, if you can't beat them, what do? You
join them.
And that's what she did.
Mm-hmm.
I brought her down to my level, although she tried many times to get me to her level. And throughout the process of doing that, our lives became so unmanageable. It was just, looking back, it was really a crying sin, right? So on September 8th, 2001, we had a pretty good argument the night before, and I was doing some tasks outside of washing and cleaning the car. She came out and said, "Hey, I'm going to do something about this problem I have. I'm going to go to AA because my uncle is going to take me to," we were in Indianapolis at the time, to a meeting. And I said, "Well, that's good. You need to go. You've got a problem." And she said, "Exactly what I thought you would say. So here's what I want. I want you out of the house by the time I get back." And I mean, out, like lock, stock, and barrel, out. I don't care. Just get out. She goes, "Because I can't live like this anymore." So she was the catalyst. She went and got help first. And of course, me being the slow learner that I am, right? I had to spend another 40, 50 days out in the trenches of getting drunk and, coked out of my mind and all of the above, until one day I was in Decatur, Illinois. I was running my distributorships. I had a Nextel communications business. And I was at a bar and I ordered a vodka tonic. I took a sip from the vodka tonic. It tasted, I don't know, if I've never had poison, and I hope to never have it, but if I could define it, it was that taste. And I set it back down. I had the bartender taste it, and she said, "Hey, yeah, it's just like you like it. 2 fingers of vodka and a splash of tonic." And I said, "That's it." So I tasted it again. I said, "That's nasty." I said, "How much do I owe you?" So I paid her and I walked out, and I said, one of my good friends said, "I'll see you tomorrow." And I go, "I don't think so." I called the phone and I met her in Indianapolis, and I said, "I'm going to quit drinking too." And she says, "Well, good for you. You want to go to a meeting?" And I said, "Oh, no, I'm going to do this on my own." So I tried to do it on my own for about 17 months. And the only thing I accomplished was not drinking and not drugging. And I was pretty happy with that. But her relationship with me and my relationship with my 2 children really never changed. I was still self-seeking. I was still selfish. I was still, single-minded. I was still cutthroat, transactional. If there's a character defect, Rob, that you can think of, that was me. All right. I had not grown out of that, nor did I know how to. So we were watching one of my son's sophomore baseball game in the spring of 2003. And she offered me a seat in the car, and the conversation, turned erratic. And the next thing you know, it got loud, and she was like, get out, just get out. Well, I had to go to the bathroom, and my son's baseball field from his high school was probably a quarter mile. So I wasn't going to walk it. I drove it. So I walked in the way I knew how to get into the public bathroom in the high school. I'm going to the bathroom. Next to me in the next stall, there's this guy whose son's playing also. I don't know him really from Adam. I don't know him. I know of him. I just don't know him. And he goes, hey, how's it going? I go, good. He goes, really? You think that's good? I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, a little conversation with your wife. The next time you guys decide to get in an argument, you got to think about what kind of car you're in. I go, what's that got to do with it? He goes, well, you had about 30 people on that fence line right there, and you're arguing at the top of your voices in a convertible.
Oh, my God.
Everybody heard every word. He goes, man,
wow,
that's so embarrassing. He goes, you can't do that. You can't treat your wife like that. I go, I know I can't. I said, I know. And he goes, did I hear you're trying to quit drinking? I go, yeah. He goes, well, have you been sober? I said, yeah. My sobriety date's October 20th, 2001. And he looked me right in my eyes. I mean, we're taking a pee together. He says, if you want what I've got and you're willing to go to great lengths to get it, I can help you. He's been my sponsor ever since.
Wow. That's a great story.
Yeah. Took me to my first AA meeting, made me go on my own. And I just, I wanted it so bad. And so many things changed. I mean, I became an honest individual. I worked on my character defects. Like you say, we're all a work in progress. We are a work in progress. And I don't have to be perfect anymore, Rob. I can be working towards a goal,
Yeah.
And once I became aware of that and made my commitment to the work, to the process, not to the product, not to the result,
Yeah.
my life got better and better and better.
Wow. That's, man, I got chills. Thank you for sharing that. So you're in AA and you're going through it now. Were you a spiritual guy before that? Because I know a lot of people, when they go through that process, they find spirituality. So were you a spiritual guy before that? And if not, like, how long did it take you really to find that?
That's a great question. I grew up believing in God, Jesus, and I didn't really ever go to church until Laura and I had an opportunity to go to a church in 1981 when she visited me. She was a teacher, and she visited me on her spring break in Lynchburg, Virginia. And
I got a lot of buddies in Lynchburg, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. So she took me to a Catholic church in Lynchburg, an old Catholic church. And I said, I have no idea what I'm doing here. She goes, it's okay. Just follow, And I said, afterwards, I said, man, that was great. I got a workout and I got to hear some word. I said, there's more aerobics in a Catholic church than going down to the Y. Up, down, laughing. And so we were going to get married, and we did. We got married in 1983, and I wanted our children to be raised in a religious-based home, and I was an attender. I was not a member, but I did convert to Catholicism at that time, and I put on the show. One of my character defects is being a chameleon, and I'm a pretty good one, so one thing led to another. I just never really dug into it like I knew I could have or should have. And then throughout the course of AA, it's a spiritual program. It's funny, we say, if you want religion, go to church, but if you want spirituality, come to AA. Well, that's true, but it can also work hand in hand, right? And the deeper I got into my AA, the more work I did, the more 12th step work, which is taking the message to those that either can't come in themselves or haven't heard it yet, the more spiritual my life became, And then it was kind of like a little incremental bump over here and a little incremental bump over there. And then spirituality started to kind of take a little bit more of an important role in my life. And although we divorced in 2003, we found our way back to each other in 2011.
You remarried?
We remarried. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Here's a spoiler alert, though. We were only together for 9 years. She developed cancer and died in 2020.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, that's life. And in other words, that it's not all kicks and giggles.
Yeah.
But I found somebody special. And although she likes to stay in the, she said, I don't want to be in the spotlight. And I said, well, you probably married the wrong guy. But so
are you sponsoring people right now?
I do.
Yeah.
And
then
I've only got a couple. And my life is so busy. And I do some motivational speaking. I do some spiritual speaking. And whenever I get the opportunity, I think of that as kind of my sponsorship. My goal is to retire from coaching baseball at some point in time and take my testimony on the road to college age athletes and share with them that, hey man, I'll get you a copy of the book and you'll do what everybody does. Hey, I kind of think I would have liked to have been you for a while, because it's fast. It's there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of, but at what cost?
Yeah, exactly.
What was the cost? And that is the underlying theme behind everything that I speak on. That okay, I lost my dignity. I lost without God in my ear and my little foxhole prayers. Two questions people ask me after they read the book. One, is it true? And I'm like, yeah, it's true. And they're like, phew. And then the second one was, well, how the hell are you alive?
Yeah.
And I said,
wow.
Through God's grace, man.
Through his grace, amen.
Me to do this, I think, is what I tell people.
So then what do you see as your purpose right now?
That's a great question. And although some people, I'm sure, have it figured out, my purpose is a work in progress, and it always has been. And I think it will stay that way because I want to be able to pivot wherever God wants to put me. And I think as long as I am a good son to my father, I will be a good steward to those that are around me. And I shared that with my wife the other day. We got married on August 30th of this past year. And I said, you know what? You don't have to worry about me being a good husband. You just don't. Mm-hmm. She came from a divorce situation. And I said, you don't have to worry about that. Because if I'm a good son for my father, I'll be a good husband to you.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, this is awesome. I really appreciate you sharing this. So do you take these kids, as you bring these kids, they're young kids, right? They are where you were at one point, right? And let's face it, I'm sure some of them are partying. Do you have conversations with them about your story when you recruit them, or at some point while they're playing with you during practice, during a meeting? Do you talk to them about it?
I'm an open book. I don't really, self-profess to my kids. But obviously with the book being released in April, I didn't hand out 40 books.
Right.
But I did say, if anybody wants to read it and talk, I'm available for everything, anything and everything. So I have had some players don't want to. I don't think my daughter has ever read it cover to cover. I don't think my son has ever read it cover to cover. I mean, I was challenged. I grew up in a predominantly Black neighborhood. My street was the cusp. 7 families on one side, 3 Blacks. That was my side of the street. The other side was exactly the opposite, 3 and 7. So my friends growing up were all African American. And Bill Helm, one of my closest friends from my youth, became a Baptist minister after 30 years in the Navy. And at a Easter luncheon with him, his wife, and his wife's sister and husband, he looked at me dead-eyed. I mean, just looked at me and said, you have to write your story. He had had a stroke. And he goes, your story will change lives. And I said, Bill, you got to get off the Oxycontin. I mean, it's not good for you. And he's laughing, and I'm like, and he goes, no, I'm serious. You got to write your story. please do it before I die. Well, I didn't get it done, but his wife, Anita Helm, you mentioned that you are a co-author of 4 books. She's my co-author. And the gentleman that took the trip with me to Miami, Michael Melnick, is also a co-author. So it was a 10-year, a nine and a half years, just labor of love, putting this thing together and bringing to life what we think we wanted, well, what we wanted people to understand about overcoming adversity, being able to change your life, making these kinds of positive changes that have more than an effect on you, but it also has an effect on your clan and your family and your nation, you know, all of those people that are around you, that you touch. And it was such a high to release a book. Towson University's staff read it, their legal read it before I would release anything that would bring shame to anyone.
Right.
To read it. And they were like, go for it. We think it's a great book. We think it's going to help some people. So within 2 months of it being out, Rob, we signed an option with Prelude Pictures to convert it to a movie.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So is that going to happen? Is it going to happen?
If somebody can find $24.5 million, I think it's got a good shot. So we have,
would that be the NIL money maybe? No.
Oh my gosh, man. You talk about, you know, that's a silo that I know nothing about. And over the past 5 months, it has been so much fun. I mean, you mentioned it before. I spoke with Francis Kelly about this. You know, I've talked with other people and they're like, hey, you know, let's get through 25 and let's talk in 26. And it's what a fun thing, man. It has really opened a lot of doors for us, you know. I can't hear you.
Here we go. There we go. I'm back. I hit the mute button by mistake. Anyway, so a couple more questions here. So it says I mean, I'll read it word for word, from addictions to redemption. So is redemption, would you say redemption is a place maybe like there, or is redemption a continual process?
I'm going to go with process because that's where it is for me. And I know that you spoke offline about having a vision and you had this half chiseled sculpture, you know, and I had this voice in my head of being in the parking lot after a mass in Richmond, Virginia, while I was coaching down there. And it was like, I couldn't shut it off, but it was like something saying there's something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
There's something bigger.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what is it? You know, and I pray on it and just pray on it and pray. And I thought, you know, that it was my wife's sickness, that was it. And then I got challenged to finish the book by Bill's wife. You know, she said eloquently, you owe me a book. And I was like, I know what that means. So, you know, we got to work on it. And I just think that the something bigger is what we just talked about. You know, the redemption phase of it is more of a journey, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Truly works in progress. I mean, think of this. If my timeline is correct, I've really only known the Lord for about 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
About 2008, 2009, I started to get relatively interested. But then, you know, my lifestyle, coaching baseball and recruiting and all of that, I've never been able to do more than 4 or 5 things at once. You know, some people do 10, 15, and they're really, really good at it. Well, I can't memorize. It's a roadblock for me. So I get small bits and pieces, you know, and that's my knowledge of the Bible. I've read the Bible once, but I wouldn't have done it if Neil Young hadn't said, well, you want to read the Bible? Let's do it. And I'm like, okay. You know, so small bits and pieces. And that's why I think redemption really is, for me, is a journey, because, you know, I'm part of a little lunchtime get together on Thursday, and I learn something new every time I'm around people that speak the word. And it's such such an eye opener for me. It's kind of like a new nugget, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll grasp onto that, and then I grasp onto the next thing and get the next thing. And that's my passion. I mean, it's easy for me to speak as much as I know. And that's all people. I'm not an expert. I'm the normal dude that became unnormal.
Yeah.
Fighting to get my normalcy back.
But isn't it like I mean, I'll use the word addiction. Like I get addicted to wanting more ahas, right? I want more enlightenment from God. And it's like, where's the next one? Where's the next one? I need another one, like that. And I think I look at that as a good thing because I'm so intrigued and in awe of his power and what he does. Some of the smallest things people probably don't even recognize, but he's doing things for us all the time. And do you feel like it's like, yeah, I need more of this. I want more of this God thing. Do you feel it's an addiction in a weird way?
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny how more in tune your senses become with your other senses, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all talk about it. You're a baseball player, fresh cut grass. Really? When's the last time you really smelled fresh cut grass?
Yeah.
Well, now I go in search of fresh cut grass. When it's there, when we have run the mower, I take the walk into the outfield so that I get to experience fresh cut grass because I know my Father's doing that for me.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to ask you a question about the kids, and I'm going to come back to this fresh cut grass in a second. So, as you're coaching these kids and going what you went through, do you see some kids going through this that are trying to hide it, and then you tap them on the shoulder and say, "Hey, I sense I know what you're going through," or you're not allowed to really like make that judgment or make that assumption? Are you crossing a line if you make that assumption? I guess that's the question.
I don't think you're crossing a line if you make that assumption. I think it's how you handle it, though. If you feel like there is an assumption, it's an addiction, and normally addictions can be connotated with sickness, right? Well, I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose, right? I just know what has worked for me in the past, and that's what I give to each and every one of my players. I give them an outlet that if you want to talk to somebody that has been through a lot, may not be exactly what you're going through. If you want to talk to me about anything, my phone's always on, and it just kills my wife. She hates it, but I tell her, I'm sorry. I have 2 children of my own. I have 2 stepchildren now, but I've got 35 other boys that I raise, plus 35 every year that I raise. My phone needs to be on in case they ever want to call.
Yeah.
I've had the 3:30 in the morning phone calls where guys go, "Hey, want to go get some coffee?" And I'm like, "No, you need to give me a check. let me process this real quick. And I'll get back to you. How about 6 o'clock? Can you give me till 6 o'clock?"
That's great.
Sure. But no, it's yeah.
So I got to ask this. I got to believe you're a Field of Dreams guy, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So is heaven? I mean, is the baseball field heaven for you in some regard?
Yeah, it was my safe place. I mean, not just the baseball field. I actually loved football too.
Yeah.
And, when I was, and my good friend Michael, he was surrounded by a loving family, and we're down to just my brother and I now, and we've lost our mother, father, sister, so it's just he and I. And Mike Melnick, he's got his family. He still has his mother and father, 94, 91. And his father did an unbelievable solid for me. He paid for my second semester of my freshman year to go back to the University of Miami.
Wow.
And for that, I'll never be able to repay him, right? Because without that, I don't have anything going here.
Yeah, but you're paying it forward. You're paying it forward right now.
And that's what I hope to be doing, right?
Yeah.
So looking at it from that perspective, I really feel like that's what I got to do. I gotta try to pay it forward, and it's one shot.
Yeah. So let me share this with you. You talk about the scent of the grass and all that, and we talked about Field of Dreams a second ago. So my son, he ended up being a meteorologist. He was a Texas Tech for a little bit, got a job down in Lubbock. Then he ends up getting a full-time job in Iowa, Waterloo, Iowa. And he's there about a year and decides to move to Kansas City. So we go down and pack him up to move him. And like, we ain't going anywhere until we hit the Field of Dreams. We're going to pack you up. We're driving there, and my son and I were playing a game of catch on the Field of Dreams. So we drove there. And I'm my dad's old school Italian. Growing up, he was a soccer guy. Everybody in the family was soccer, and I was the only like real baseball guy. So my dad gives me a hand-me-down glove when I was 5 years old, and I had that glove forever. And I never played catch with my dad till I was 34 years old. And Matt, there's another whole story around that. It's an emotional, tear-jerking story that we'll talk about over a cup of coffee at 6 a.m. one day. Okay. And anyway, so playing catch with my dad was like so important for me. So now, my son and I, my wife and his girlfriend at the time, now they're married, we drive to the Field of Dreams. And Matt, I'm telling you, I'm giddy. I'm like a kid, and I'm walking in front of them, and they're behind me, and I can't wait to cross that line. And Matt, as soon as I crossed the line, I just melted. I just totally melted. And I turn around, and my wife's looking at me, and she goes, "You all right?" This is heaven for me. The baseball field is heaven for me. And especially, I love playing night baseball. It's just nothing like it for me. And so my son and I, we go in center field. They had a bunch of stuff going on in the infield. So we got in center field, and we're playing a game of catch on the Field of Dreams. And that was like a bucket list thing for me to do, especially with my son. And you know the part in the movie when they're acting out with geez, it was
Costner.
Kevin Costner's pitching to his dad. His dad's catching, and my son and I, we acted out that whole scene, and we put it on. I put it on Facebook and whatnot. And I couldn't even get out the words. It was so emotional for me. And what a special gem it was for me. So I don't know if it's, I guess soccer players see the soccer field, football players see the football field, but to me, there's nothing like standing on a baseball field and playing a game of catch. There's nothing like it.
I agree 100%. And, it's the simple things like that are the things that touch us most. And I don't think my addictive self would have found that story as moving as my sober self. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
The one thing you get back in sobriety is your ability to feel. And that has been a godsend for me. It's kind of like they used to kid it. And I'm the worst at telling jokes, so I'll butcher this and then we'll move on. It's like when you're an alcoholic, it's like a country song. You give everything back. I mean, you give everything away, right? And then you play the alcoholic, or you play the country song backwards, and you get it all back. Get your feelings, you get the debt, you get it, So it's all good going out, but coming back, it's hell, So yes,
that's great.
I think your story, and I mean, all of those little raindrops of heaven, really, really only exist now, and it's the smallest of small that really settle our hearts, just fill them up, isn't it? I mean, the look between a child you don't even know and her or his mother and or father, the just something like that jogs your memory back to that experience with you and yours. Those things are priceless, and they're not available if you're not in God's world. They're just not.
That's so true. So true. Gosh, so true, man. I could go for hours. I love talking baseball. I love it. And I love what you're sharing with us. Going forward, where else in your life do you think God needs to chisel you?
Well, I definitely want to become a better scholar of the Bible.
Okay.
I really, because I'm learning so much more about what people what parts they played in the Bible and how interesting they're all woven together. The tapestry of that book is incredible, and it really works for me when I have the availability of somebody to help me paint that picture. Are you familiar with the Bible Project?
The Bible Project?
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard of it. And I read the Bible.
Project is a group of narrators and illustrators that break down the books of the Bible and can do it in probably 7 to 13 minutes. And they draw while, and I'm a visual learner, so this really helps me. But they can go through the book of Matthew and give you a synopsis in about 9 minutes. And I'm like, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it. Because doggone it, Jesus, how come you got to talk in so many parables? I mean, it's tough on me, man. I'm a great educated guy. Don't make it tough.
Make it simple, right?
Make it simple.
Can I find this online, the Bible Project? I'm sure I can. Yeah, I'm sure I can. That's great. So thank you for sharing, Matt. Like I said, I could go all day, but I know we got to wrap this up. And I'm so grateful that you were able to give us your time today, especially coming off of a knee replacement, right? Knee replacement surgery.
Yeah.
Wow. So thanks for having that grit to stick it out for about an hour with us here today. Thank you so much. Yeah, Matt, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, whether somebody needed a sponsor, need to talk about that, the AA program, or somebody wants to play baseball at Towson University, how would they get a hold of you?
Well, they can do one of two things. If you're interested in baseball, obviously, you can go to mtyner@towson.edu, and either myself or my recruiting coordinator will certainly work towards making you feel comfortable. If you want to talk to me personally, MatthewTynerSr.com is my website. More than happy to share with you my experience, strength, and hope. We're all in this together, and that's the defining moment for all of us. And I totally agree with you. We are all works in progress, because if we can realize that we need to strive for progression, not perfection, it makes it attainable.
Wow. Profound. I love that. Way to end the show. Thank you so much, Matt. And until next time, everybody, let's go get chiseled.